Welcome to the PDR Workshop Podcast, where we provide information about the paintless dent removal process, anywhere from the best business practices, tech tips, and even tool recommendations. Don't forget, you can always join us and engage with the community during our live show every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Thank you for listening and enjoy. All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us on the PDR Workshop live show. This is episode 66, and I am joined with Dave O from Dentless Touch. Wow, that's a change.
It's crazy.
You want to say what's up to the viewers?
What's up, guys?
So we're just trying to get everything set up here on the YouTube channel. There's a little bit of a delay on our end, and we are just getting everything set up. So I do appreciate you guys being patient. We're going to get this show rolling. So I want to thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on the show, and that is Blim Tool Guys, Dent Craft Tools, and then Mobile Tech RX. Again, I appreciate them for even allowing us or just sponsoring us. I mean, to provide content for you guys, knowledge for you guys, and to create this engaging platform for us. And so we're doing our job to put in the work, and we just feel if you can, contribute with them and maybe possibly see something on their website and purchase something through them. They greatly appreciate it. All right, so Dave, you want to say something to viewers?
Yeah. I mean, that was a great intro, I think, with our sponsors. Also, guys, we do this in podcast form, so you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. So pretty much all major platforms where you can get your podcasts. You can listen to us and these episodes. You can rewind them, replay them. If you did hear something that you did like, a tip or trick or something like that, you can go ahead and listen on there if you're not able to catch us live on Mondays. So obviously we had a holiday weekend, so we are doing this tonight on Tuesday, and it should be fun.
So you guys are saying, is my mic on? We are clearly seeing everything on our end that looks like it's up. So definitely let me know right now if you can't hear me.
It wouldn't be a PDR Workshop show without something
It's
possibly
always
going on.
something. It's always something. So, yeah, on our end, I am looking. Everything is completely running here.
Yeah, if you guys,
okay,
I don't know if you
perfect.
guys saw this on Chris's Instagram. We just went live as well. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot to keep up with. So just for us as dent guys here, trying to get all this set up with just regular work and then coming home and really trying to get this whole setup to look nice and just give you quality, there's always something that is going to be tweaked or something. So we do
quite figure out that routine where it's just as consistent as we want it to be. But we appreciate you guys for joining us and allowing us to speak and share this roughly 1 hour with us. So let's get on to the topic, Dave. If there's anything that you guys, if y'all can't hear us, normally the quality of video is going to be on your end most likely. So just check the connection. This is why me and Dave are here. One of the reasons why. Poor connection is a lot of times on your side. We're streaming pretty good, but maybe not.
So, let's get into this topic. Why wholesale is king? Why do we think wholesale still works? Me and Chris just had a discussion about this yesterday or 2 days ago about a call that kind of came in. It was a wholesale company that called looking for service. I think Chris used to service them in the past. And we just kind of came up with a game plan. Will that fit into what we're actually trying to build right now? Is that going to be a hindrance, or is it actually going to be a benefit to the company? And we just kind of went over the pros and cons. Sorry, guys. We just kind of went over the pros and cons of what this particular wholesale account will do for the company. And so we decided to kind of go ahead and do a topic on what some of those pros and cons, why wholesale is king and what some of these pros and cons were. And how we decided that it actually wasn't going to be a benefit. but
Yeah.
we're going to go over, what we think some of the positive things are with wholesale, what we tell a lot of technicians who are starting, why wholesale accounts are important. And let's kind of get into it right now.
So yeah, a couple of things, guys, that we came up with really, really quickly is the monetary benefits, convenience aspect, time, growth potential, and stabilities. So if you guys want to add to those topics, we're going to elaborate more on those specific topics. So let's get into it. I don't want to start with monetary, even though that's like the first one I said. So let's talk with the stability aspect of the actual. And when we mean by wholesale is king, we mean that 90% of your business is wholesale. Your design, your setup. And I think we even had this discussion today where you could just see that I was mostly set up for a shop environment.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of things that you were like, Chris, I would do that a lot faster if I had this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't need that. I have this. And it seems like I was fast, for what I was doing. But anyway, so we realized that, you have to have a whole complete mindset strategy when you do a wholesale. And if you put that much effort in the retail or wholesale, you'll see the benefit of wholesale and you start to see how lucrative and different aspects of it, of why we say wholesale is still king. So back on stability, Dave. What do we mean by stability? I know you're tapping away, so I'll go ahead and elaborate. Are you good?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, no problem. So what do you mean? What do we mean by stability?
For me, I think that just having, as a technician, as a company, having those multiple accounts that just give you steady work week in and week out. You can really gauge your numbers monthly based off of these accounts. You kind of know how many cars you're going to get per week every time you go in there. Once you've built that relationship, that rapport, we've gone over that in past shows as well on how to do that. But once you build that really solid foundation with your account and really get a good cadence going with every Monday, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there at 9 a.m. and I'm going to walk the lot. And then I go see Jim at the front desk, and Jim at the front desk, goes over my list of cars and he says, hey, how are you doing? And I ask how the family was. And he, writes off and says he wants to do these 4 and not these 3. And you just go about your day and then you go get those cars done. And a lot of times it'll be kind of the same pattern week in and week out. Once you've built that foundation, you kind of know how many units are coming in, how many are going out, especially when you know your lot really well. The stability of an account, it's easier to grab, 1 or 2 cars at your wholesaler or know that your wholesaler is going to have those cars than trying to close maybe 1 or 2 retails or trying to close a deal or try to sell someone on something. Just the stability aspect of having a wholesale account or multiple allows for.
Yeah, I agree. And if one doesn't, I don't know if you spoke about this, but if one doesn't have cars, you can just jump on to the next one. And a lot of times it's condensed into one area. A lot of dealerships, they tend to, I guess zoning wise, there'd be dealer, and then maybe a few industrial, and then you go to the next row of dealerships. So if you knock out those 8 dealerships and you only have maybe 6 of those dealerships, you can knock out all 6 of those dealerships in one day.
Yeah, possibly.
And so
it's been done. Yeah,
$400 per dealership at whatever your rate is. It doesn't really matter. You have steady work and you're only driving a block away to the next dealership. That's most ideal when we talk about wholesale as king. That's the only reason why wholesale could be king. It's because you can do things like that. And then when retail comes around, what I've noticed is guys just say, hey, meet me at this dealer. There's a nice waiting room right there.
Yeah.
And there you go. You just on the lot. I think obviously you're in the elements. But not to get into too much of it, let's talk about growth potential. So business growth and all that good stuff.
I think that just having wholesale accounts, multiple I don't think having one wholesale account is best, right?
Right.
I think if
of
you're
course, okay, we're basically talking about
a strictly wholesale route. So
5-10 years of wholesale and you
week in and week out. Week in and week out. You have a route. Monday you hit your set of dealerships. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so forth. So what that allows for, along with the stability, allows for that growth potential. It allows you to really gauge get an average of your accounts. Like I said, how many units are being sold, how many they move, and it's a larger volume of workflow that comes through the company, which is going to just naturally bring more money in.
Right. Yeah, and I look at the company. I look at the when I say, well, excuse me, when I look at growth potential, I look at when you hire someone. To me, it's easier to train them when you have cars that I won't say it doesn't need to be perfect, but something that you can look over him. He'll be working kind of right beside you, so you can always go over there and go, okay, hey, let me jump on the harder stuff, or hey, you still got a little wave you need to get out, this, that, and third. I'll be at the next dealership, which is right across the parking lot. If you need me, give me a call. And I've seen techs able to go from 1, 2, 3, 4 guys just because they have the volume of cars, whether it be cheap or not. We're not talking about the actual price here, but we're talking about literally the growth potential in this instance. But having that ability to scale with work, because obviously it's time on metal. We preach that in pretty much every video. We can't do that when you're just strictly retail. What car are they going to work on?
Right.
Every car is like, you got to look over them. So
yeah.
At wholesale is really good, and if any of you guys that are looking at scaling, it is so much easier to scale with a little bit of wholesale on your side.
Yeah.
So you can have that ability to train your guys. So that's what we mean by growth potential on that aspect. Let's talk about the convenience aspect. We're rolling through these guys, so if you have any questions, please
go to the chat. Yeah, please go in there and any comments about wholesale and what if you guys think wholesale works for you guys, go ahead and let others know. And if you don't think that it does work and wholesale isn't really your thing and this is why, go ahead and put it in the chat. So yeah, we just had Zach on here.
Yeah, Zach, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the convenience aspect. There's one thing that's not on this list that I've seen a lot of wholesale guys is they don't have to focus on Instagram. They don't have to focus on any marketing. They're not doing most of this YouTube stuff that we're doing. Most of them don't even have a website. Some of them don't have business cards, but yet they still clear numbers like the best of us. So when we talk about the monetary benefits, I don't like to get into numbers, but I think we're going to get into a little bit of numbers that I've seen out of some of these guys. The very, very efficient one. But to not be able to worry about a $4,000 website, AdWords to the website, marketing on Instagram, to just constantly be focused and clouding your mind with that. Not saying it's not needed, but it's majority time is needed in a retail setting.
Yeah. But what are they doing? They're focusing on that account. They don't have anything else to really worry about. They're focusing on that account,
building that relationship. So they make up the ball game and stuff like that. But really diving deep into that relationship, making that relationship kind of go into the best thing to do is go into the owner side. So get it so deep where the GMs are introducing you to the owners, and then you're pretty much family at that point. And so then if they get bought by a bigger, company, you pretty much are ingrained into that company.
As a vendor, you're just that preferred vendor for their, hey, I've been coming here for
when they grow,
10
they
years.
ask you first. I've seen guys who would put another dealership 20 miles away and they go, hey, do you service this before I go and try to reach out for a dick? Yeah, I'll service it. You guys been good to me. I'll run down there. You plan on growing? What do you plan?
It ties into the growth potential because if you do build that solid relationship and they do open up another dealership, you may be that first call on the vendor list to now service that new dealership.
Yeah.
And as a tech or as a company, now you have to decide, and kind of how we did the other day, is that going to really fit in? Is that going to work? How am I going to make it work? How am I now going to fit this into my already jam-packed wholesale schedule? I already go to these 3 on Monday and these 4 on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Do I have time on Wednesday to maybe slip this new dealership in? So, and then you got to get a whole cadence going with that new place. So having those solid relationships in wholesale allows for that growth potential. And I think that's really what it comes down to, just the relationships when it comes to wholesale.
And that's a convenience. And we were talking about the convenience on this time, but the convenience is you're not by your phone all the time. You're literally a few guys need to answer the phone. You're messaging like, hey, Johnny's Dent Repair. Keep it moving. No website, no nothing. They don't really care for that. It almost kind of like clouds. It kind of blocks you from that person. I mean, I feel like a lot of people say, oh, man, I try to call you. I can't get in touch with you. And, I'm trying to work. I'm trying to manage. You know my day-to-day. But it's like, man, I wish people can just call me and get in touch with me. Just not enough hours in a day on that aspect. But on the wholesale side, you'd be a fool not to have that personal relationship with that manager, even though he's probably calling you to run around at 7 o'clock at night, but it is what it is.
So just real quick, we do have a couple comments here in the chat, and I want to kind of just present them to you. What's the largest size dent that you'll mess with on a wholesale lot before it does become upcharged to a retail?
So we do between 3 and 4 inches, and then it's upcharged. Now, if it's just a soft, shallow dent that I know Glexo could kind of move that relatively quickly, then that could be 8, 9-inch dent. As long as Glexo can move it in 2 or 3 pulls or whatever without putting on a heat gun, then it depends on. It's all about time. So if it only takes me 30 minutes, and I know it's going to be very presentable at that time, or 40 minutes, and I really don't charge the upcharge, or I'll just say, I just add another panel. It's kind of fair. They understand it. It's not like I'm adding it without them knowing. I'm just saying, look, for this repair, I know it's just a fender. I got to just do a 2-panel on this one. Oh, okay. Instead of going like, hey, this is going to be some abnormal price that they're not used to paying per car. Because in their mind, and when they go to the auction, they have an average that they pay. And so when you start going over that average on one car, they start saying, ooh, all I planned for was this average that we came up with. Which could somewhere around $100 a car. I mean, I think you had a good article. We'll link it in the description after we get off here. But you had a good article about, how dealerships view vendors.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. They understand that, okay, out of 100 cars, he's doing 65, 75, 110, so his average is $100. So every time he buys a car, he attaches that premium to every car. Boom, that package is what they call it. And then he needs to make sure that this has a $2,500 recon package. That includes 9 times 10.
There's a budget
tires
associated, with
and
recon.
So when he's looking at buying this car, he's like, all right, it's a $2,500 pack that I have to add to these cars. And then now you start charging $250 for your dent repair, which would have been $100. He's got to go back and go, what is my profit margin on this? Ah, man, that thing needed major service, and now I can't do it. But he already allocated that $100. So
But you say above 3 to 4 inches, that's when you'll kind of start to upcharge.
Excuse me, and like I said, sometimes 6, 7 inches you could just Glexo and it's down to like 2 inches.
Yeah.
So I kind of just throw the Glexo in for free. Boom, boom, boom. If it's 2 inches, then 2 inches. Now it's the type of dent that Glexo
7-inch crease,
7-inch crease, or 7-inch byline that's crushed. Yeah, we got to talk. Because at that point, if I say I can't fix it, it's going straight to a body shop.
Yeah.
And then that's more time, and then it ain't going to come back right, and you got to send it back, or then try to sell it with this crappy paint work on the car.
Got it.
So that's what I do.
Push and Polish asks, what's the ideal wholesale lot for you? Is it just used, new, auction?
Yeah. So to me, the ideal is someone that wants to take everything out. The little small door dings compared to the big ones, all that
Someone
stuff.
who cares about their inventory.
Exactly. That's the most.
And wants to make their cars frontline ready to go.
Because that handles volume. Because if he cares about that, then he obviously has sales. And he obviously has a volume of cars coming in.
Yeah.
And so that kind of eliminates all of that. If he cares about it also much, he gives you space to do the work. Space and probably somewhat time. My second wholesaler is obviously someone that pays you very, very quickly because you can roll through a lot of cars and have a lot of cars that they supply you with. And so, again, I have a wholesaler that we were just talking about, and he gives me keys to the shop. I can go there at any time. It's 5 or 6 cars, but the cars have to be done that day. That's the only stipulation it's kind of rough, that he's an hour and a half away from me, but the cars have to be done that day because there's a new batch of cars that come in every day, and it's between 5 and 6 cars to work on.
That's a nice account.
It's a nice account. He pays you every week. No problems with that. You have no issues with
But cares about his inventory.
Cares deeply about his inventory. Only to the point where he'll call you back sometime like, I still see a wiggle. I'm like, yeah, it's 14-inch crease, and it was at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm beat, yo.
No, I completely understand.
But if it's your birthday, your anniversary, Christmas, those cars got to get done.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't stop.
Yeah, well, that's good for him. That's a good account.
Yeah, that's a good account.
And then just one more here. Just Drew asked, if you're doing work at a dealership, do you ever have their employees remove panels for you to gain access?
Yes. Yeah, so I had a BMW 5 Series in the summer, as far as I saw. The headliner the sunroof was riveted in. I'm not messing with that. A lot of times, at least the dealership that I was dealing with, the BMW dealership that I'm dealing with, they want to pay me $100 to take the headliner, but would gladly pay their mechanical shop $600 to take the headliner.
Yeah.
Now, I'll take it down all day long for $600, but still it's going to kind of slow me up. But it's still good money.
Now, what about some of these accounts, and I know I've had them in the past in my career as well, their service department isn't there to help us. They're there to strictly do their job, right? So how do you kind of deal with when you don't have that option? Say you do have a dent in the roof and you need the headliner down. Are you go ahead and taking it down yourself? Just right there on the spot?
I have no problem taking it down. It's just there's a price to take it down. Again, I'm just fair because he's giving me obviously a weekly supply of cars. So if I know it's a Corolla roof and it's going to take me 15 minutes, then I may be asking for like $45-$50 to just take this down real quick. And most likely I'm not taking all of it down. I'm taking a portion of it down, whatever got hit. And then if I had to maybe take all of it, maybe 75. Now if this is a BMW, I'm by myself, it's a wagon, putting it back up, it's gonna be crazy, and the whole thing is a hail car, and the whole thing's got to come down. Then it's gonna be a couple of $100 to take the headliner down.
Yeah, and so the way I was running some of my accounts, and now things are kind of changing, and just the way, I'm doing things now is going to be completely different, just because it's going to be a different setting now, obviously at Dentless Touch here. But I was going into wholesale accounts, and my go-to was $75 per car.
Right.
So I go into the dealership and I say, hey, no matter what is on the car, it's $75 within reason. And that kind of push and polish you had asked, what's the size? I'm just gauging. If it's going to be something that's going to be timely, I'm going to ask for a little bit more money. I'm going to go into the $100 range and above. But that's that's just kind of the average of what I was going for. That's what a lot of the other guys in the area were charging. And so whatever kind of came my way as I walked a lot, it's $75. If I have to take down the headliner, I could try to ask for more money, but they're really sticking to that price that I kind of sold them on in the beginning. Well, what happened to, per car is this. Yeah. And so sometimes I had to kind of just bite the bullet and of course, and take headliners down or do R&I on some of these cars without being able to charge for it. But that was the volume thing, and that's what we talked about, the growth potential and the stability that kind of came with that price, knowing that some of these cars are only going to take me 5 to 10 minutes, and then I may get caught up on a car for an hour and a half, and it just kind of balanced out.
Now, what you just said was, hey, I got to stick with that $75. I think about that is that was just a poor contract on your end.
Yeah.
Because there was no stipulation. $75, they bring a hell car. What about that $75?
Right.
Okay, now we all know, excludes hail cars. That's a no-brainer, right? But then that's why I started putting excludes anything over 4 inches. Mm-hmm. And I did tell them, I said a lot of times 4 inches is they said, what is this? What does this mean? A lot of times anything over 4 inches is collision anyway. Yeah. So it's just a stipulation. So we're not working on this entire door that we're taking apart for $75. It makes sense, right? We're hitting for money. Yeah. Right. Just because a customer comes in and only has $10,000 to buy a car, you don't put her in a BMW M5 now, do you? Mm-hmm. Come on now. So they kind of relate. Oh yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, and then any R&Is that need to be performed other than like a headline, I'll list it. Other than like a wheel liner, which is pretty much free. I don't charge for wheel liner. I don't even charge for like the hood liners. If I have to take out the little liner and underneath the hood, I don't really charge for it. Normally I'm doing about half of it anyway. So I don't want to nickel and dime them, but headliners and I have to take the trunk or door completely off.
Now, if you have multiple technicians within your company, and you're sending them to go do the work, are these rules still applying, or are you kind of guys? You need to take the good with the bad. Charge when you can. No, there is good
with the bad because you have a 4-inch dent. Can be a 4-inch dent on a byline that you got to fix. It still falls within that realm, and you're just sitting there now I got to spend 2 hours on this car to get it right.
Yeah.
So that's the good and the bad. It's not being, I won't say idiotic, but that's like crazy when you got to do a whole hell car for $75. Right. You got to do some side swipe for $75.
Yeah.
The best wholesale car, and I mean what I mean by the best is he had volume, but the price was so cheap with the volume. And he was the fairest, the guy. And basically, if you spent 2 hours, he paid you per hour. So
interesting.
And the nice thing
and
about
that doesn't happen too much, I think, out here in wholesale.
Sense. Because he wants you to fix that whole side swipe from the fender all the way to the quarter panel.
Yeah.
But the first thing I'm gonna say is, I can't do $400. You crazy? Like,
yeah.
Nah, I quit. Done. That's the end of doing business with you if you want me to do that. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. Right?
Yeah.
It's 30 something hours on this. So he'll just be like, how long you think? 6-7 hours? All right, get it done. And he pays you per the hour. Now you sitting there, you busting your tail during those hours.
Yeah.
You're like, man, but he's able to do on the quick jobs. He's able to get cars done in 30 minutes.
Right.
So he's making it up on the quicker jobs, the ones that take you time. Now you're making your money up.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you walk in there and you spend a 10-hour day, you're good. And then to elaborate on that number is between $125 to $150 an hour. Very, very cheap for a 10-year PDR technician that is very efficient. To sit there, have all his tools lined up, and the cars get funneled in. You don't move the cars; he funnels the cars in.
There's definitely a trust factor there too, because you can easily manipulate those numbers,
course,
and he can, I think, on his side as well. And that's a really good.
You just have two intelligent people, and we know
just understanding each other.
We know when someone's trying to step over people's shoes.
Yeah,
and I give him deals because even when I walk out on the phone or something like that, I'll cut back 30 minutes or whatever. He sees it.
Yeah,
basically, I'm there for 5 hours, charge him for 4.
Nice.
That's kind of
that was a good
how
deal.
that works. But that's how that. Now, I think Straight Line said, do you deal with the dealers that pay every 30 days? I have dealers that pay every 60 days. So, yes, I do deal with that. That's just the nature of the beast. It is a benefit or a perk if they pay you weekly, but it's not a requirement in my company.
Say that one more time.
The paying every 30 days.
Got it.
So, I mean, was it a requirement with you?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
typically, typically, with some of the accounts, they would go ahead and just send it out every 2 weeks. Some just right on the spot. Those were the nice ones, which were, you get
done. It's not like a requirement, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I agree.
Yeah.
What does Chris say?
Just getting back to just kind of some things that we thought about wholesale and why we thought it was kind of king or why it's beneficial. Time. It just allows for flexibility for a technician. As long as they're there on the day they say they're going to be there, everything will most likely run smooth. You walk into your account, you walk the lot, you have 1 to 2 cars, you have, 8 to 9 cars. If you have 1 to 2 cars, I'll just have more flexibility within your schedule to either go grab another account. Maybe if there was a retail or something like that came in, go ahead and service that or try to close that deal. If a body shop did call, you now have that time because you only did 1 to 2 cars at that lot. If you have 8 to 9 cars, there's not a lot of flexibility there. But you're now going into the growth potential and the convenience aspect of having an account that's giving you 8 to 9 cars. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, you're taking the good with that, with the bad.
The time issue, like let's say you have to be somewhere, and today I told my wife I'll be back home around 1 just to give her some relief from, my sick daughter. And it was kind of unknown. We were waiting an hour for a customer to just pick up the car, and it's like, wow, for a lot, it's different. It's like, normally I get through this lot by 2. I should be home 2:30. And if that doesn't happen, maybe some of the cars that just came in that need tires or still got to go through some QC type stuff, maybe you can say, I'll just rush in the morning, but I can still get back about at 2. To me, it's just more convenient on time, more flexible for either like personal or any business thing that you need to do. There is some crazy perks with the wholesale side. They're always a priority list, I feel like. As far as the insurance, Chris, I think it's just garage liability. There is probably an umbrella policy you want to put on yourself if you're dealing with kind of more of a higher end dealerships and stuff, because it's just absolutely crazy when you deal with those cars.
So Jonathan says, in all honesty, he thinks wholesale usually just runs smoother.
I agree.
You do?
I agree. There's less hiccup. Excuse me. There are less hiccups.
Yeah, there can
You
be.
just push.
There can be. There definitely can be. It's some of these higher big name dealerships. I remember just having a couple of accounts where literally weekly there was a new manager, which made it very difficult
Now
to get stuff
yeah.
approved.
Right, of
Because
course.
every manager had their own way of doing things, or they didn't know who we were. They didn't, we have a guy. It did not run smooth. I was still there every week, but every week there was someone new that I was just battling against, dealing with, and that did not go smooth. Where at this, I'm like, I can just take care of retail customers for the next 4 hours, and everything will be fine, and it will go smooth. I've closed the deal. All I have to do is go there, fix it, and that's it.
So let me ask you this: those dealerships that every 3 weeks there's a new manager, are they really a good high sale dealership? Like, do they move?
Typically, yeah. It was just the way that they ran their management.
That
Their
was just,
management system was messed up.
Yo.
Yeah,
Drive
and just guys
crazy.
were just they start at this dealership or they'll end at this one and then just go to the next one, next week or within the same dealer group.
Oh, they're moving
So
around.
if you have the same name within the group, they will just move to another store. So you'll get a lot of guys who understand how the group runs, but that store in particular, they're getting used to the numbers. They have their own quotas to meet. They have their own recon budgets now that are new that they're getting used to because they were at a Nissan dealership and now they're at Lexus. And so now they have guys on their back, making sure that numbers are getting done. And you're in here like, hey, can you give me money? Here's my list of cars. And they're like, well, who are you? And I'm like, I've been doing this account for the last, 5 years.
And then they say,
and you're like, who are you?
I've been here for like a month. And you're like, there's no way you've been here for
Right,
a month. Like,
yeah.
I've been here like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Come
so
on,
it's
bro.
definitely a battle. I think it can run smooth,
Yeah, I
but
guess
then
you're
there
right.
are those accounts where even though they're your account, but they just don't run, they don't run smooth, and it does make it difficult. But
Yeah, I agree.
it does go both ways. It just depends on the quality of account. And that's where if you can just kind of build up your account list over time, you're able to just trim the fat. So if those accounts that are really producing for you, you're getting cars approved every single week. They really like you. The relationship's being built. You keep them up at the top of the list and you're servicing them as best as possible. And those other dealerships that are slowly just only giving you less and less cars every time, or there's just a headache, or you can't get keys, or there's just an issue or something like that you're running into.
The thing is weird, man. Some dealerships they're okay with this. Some they're still in the past.
Yeah,
and it's
a trust thing. I
crazy,
think
man.
a lot of times, hey, can I get access to the key box?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can, and sometimes you won't. It just depends on if they deem you're trustworthy or not.
Here's the one that I didn't like. Right, so you write up 8 cars, and then you're like, okay, cool. And you say, all right, I need the keys, and he says, do these 2 first. I'm like, I'm not gonna come back for you for 2 and 2 and 2. Oh, this is gonna take forever.
Yeah.
So I try to no, give me all 8 because some of them go quicker. I'll get the 4 that are super super easy. I'll knock those out first. Give the keys back to you in maybe an hour or 2, so that way y'all can still sell the car.
Yeah.
I have to persuade that used car manager, whoever's dealing with the keys, I need all the keys. I am not trying to run it in every 2 or 3 cars.
And sometimes it's just not possible. Sometimes you're doing the key search because the photo guy has it, because the interior guy has, the detailers have it, one salesman
just
has it.
reminding me all of this stuff now.
Talk about running smooth. I mean, sometimes it just does not run smooth.
Right.
And there's accounts that, you as a technician or as a company can really gauge how things are going. If you're getting stuff approved, if people are happy with you when you walk in. There's not just like sneers and smirks when you walk in. They're just like, the dent guy's here. It's like, no, hey, Chris is here. Hey, what's up, Chris? How have you been? You've built that relationship. A lot of times things can run smooth. If you don't put certain things in place to allow that to happen, then things can go not south, but they'll just be harder for you in the long run. But once you build that list up, you're able to kind of trim the fat. Hey, this account really isn't giving me what I need. Call another tech in your area. If you are, we've talked about networking and stuff like that on previous shows. Hey, do you want this account? They're not really working for me. I think that, it would be a good fit for you if you want it, or do you know anyone who may want it? Here, take it. I don't want it anywhere. It's still, you're still getting them serviced. You're still giving them someone who you deem is reliable and is a good technician, and just kind of pawn it off on them. And they may be grateful for it. They may have just lost an account and say, hey, you just called, and hey, here you go. I just, and that I think that happened not too long ago. I know with myself, and I think with yourself as well.
Yeah. And give it to someone else that is, will benefit from it.
Yeah,
that's the better way, especially if they're starting to look. They weren't a good fit anyway, so that's fine. I can't wait to get into the monetary benefits because as much as I've been talking about, you don't need a website, you don't need any of these ads and stuff like that. So your cost can be super, super low. And I think Jonathan just gave some numbers of when he was in 2014 doing wholesale of I believe it's interiors. Y'all guys can look back in the chat. But anyway, the monetary benefits of it is you can clear decent numbers. And I mean by decent numbers, anywhere between 10 and 20, 25. I've actually seen guys do about 35. We're talking $1,000 a month in just strictly wholesale. A lot of these guys grew up with the entire neighborhood. They all like all of the managers and general managers. So they're locked in. They have 20, 30 dealerships that they do, and they can kind of let some of them kind of slide that day and kind of come back and then kind of just run their own route. But it seems like most of the average for a good route, we're talking, probably a 10-year route, something that takes time to set up. I would say, between 15 and 20 it's very, very doable a month with minimal overhead like website advertising and all that stuff. So that's why I say wholesale is king. Cause
a lot of these bigger companies out here, these bigger PDR companies, that's what they gravitate to is wholesale. They try to lock down that group, and it's just consistent workflow. And
that's why, because the guy can probably go in there and do 10 a month. He'll make good money. They will make consistent money. And also, that guy doesn't need to be an A-plus player. See, a lot of times, PDR, you almost have, if you want to scale a PDR business, not in Dentless Touch, but if you want to scale a PDR business like some of the largest companies, you will have C players. And you'll have a lot of them. That's the only way you're going to scale. Now, interiors, you'll probably can get a decent amount of, good guys and even wheel guys, decent amount of wheel guys. That's a easier trade to learn. With PDR guys, it's a little harder. You have to have integrity, passion for this, and then you still got to do it for $75. The wheel guy will make more money than you on the lot. It's surprising. It's crazy. They train their wheel guys in 1 week, and they're able to do wheels. Maybe not as fast, but they get fast in about 6 months. That's absolutely crazy. And then we have the benefit of obviously hail and all that stuff, some of the bigger ticket items. But I think with wholesale, the C and B players or employees turn into A players. Or
just due to time and practice?
No, just because they accept mediocrity in that type of environment. Right? It's like, it looks good from here.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to charge me $50? So
it's sellable.
What can I do? It's sellable. There you go. Whatever nice way you want to say it. And we all know to get a dent, let's just say sellable, doesn't take much skill. We all know that, right? The last 15% of the dent, most likely your customer is never going to see. And in a wholesale lot, you can stretch that depending on, your company's, morals and what you want to do. Yeah. I'm not knocking anybody that has 20 guys and they do everything 85%. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it at all. It's a good business. You are supplying jobs for 20 people. So kudos to you.
Pushing Polish Ash, he said, who's documenting the panels and the repairs so nobody feels like they're taken advantage of? I think I just kind of went over this with one of our techs, and it was something super basic. It doesn't really... You're not documenting the panels or anything like that. That's kind of just done within Mobile Tech RX because when I'm writing the car up, I'm marking what panels, and then I'm giving them that list, and it says right on there, right rear door, left front fender, and they hit approve. So they know what panels are done, and it's documented in Mobile Tech RX. But just to know that the car has been done and that we're not... Mobile Tech RX, if you scan the VIN, it will pop up and show a duplicate VIN. But just something super simple was a dotting system on the lot, and that was a single dot, which is we've looked over the car, we've written it down, we've maybe brought it to the manager, and then 2 dots on the taillight if we've worked on it. Something super simple. And if there's no dot, that means it's a fresh inventory that we haven't put eyes on. Very simple system.
You need to just go right over to the car.
Yeah, so there's kind of just an internal documenting system, and then Mobile Tech RX takes care of the manager to company documentation in Mobile Tech RX. It shows what panels that we wrote up on that car that came in. Here you go. Do you want to do this car? Yes, these are the panels that we worked on because we wrote them up. That's just kind of
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
definitely. I like that two dot system. I was going to say this, how do you feel about the manufacturer plant, PDR techs, or employees? As far as dealer employees, obviously they're just trying to cut costs. It's not like they're trying to, help out the community, or there's a guy that they know will fit the PDR. It's literally just to cut costs where they want to cut costs. So if their intentions is to cut costs, then it's never about the quality. Now, the tech may be a great tech. He may care about the quality because he's sold or they sell it to him. You can do this and do that. But it almost never works out on a dealer side. Now, the manufacturing side, plant PDR, I don't know much about it. I know there's a lot of skilled BMW plant guys that are very, very talented and gone on to do great things and build tools for the industry and everything. So as far as the BMW plant, it seems like they know what the heck they're doing. I know nothing about it, though. It's just from word of mouth of how some of these tools were created. Oh, that was from the plant. The guy got that. Yeah. They even say my hammer was what they used 25, 30 years ago at the BMW plant.
Yeah.
If you were in Germany at the BMW plant, you had that hammer. That's where it came from.
This last year, actually, at Mobile Tech Expo, Push and Polish, he's in the chat here, but one of his trainers, I think his first name's John. I know his last name's Jaeger. Okay. He had that cool green business card, and we saw him right before we left. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he was a trainee at the plant.
Yeah, he was.
And so I've seen his work online. I've just seen him all around on Facebook, stuff like that. Great guy, integrity with PDR. And I know that he is teaching the plant techs the correct way. Right. And so, that's just kind of, I don't know how it's all really run.
Are they there to cut costs? Because I think the plant tech is maybe more of a convenience aspect.
For factory flaws and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so there may be an issue where if a vendor comes in and works on a car, then maybe they have to disclose that. But if an employee of the actual car manufacturer, then it still kind of hasn't left the plant. You know what I mean? Kind of like the body shop side, where if their car gets damaged and it's still in transport, they don't have to disclose to the customer that your whole front end was painted through transport. It's kind of, if it's at the port, it's still on their property. It's just a weird thing. So maybe I'm giving them a little bit of slack, but that may be an option of why they kind of need those in-house guys. Maybe a convenience factor. Maybe they just have so much value and they need a 24-hour shift. You're not going to have a vendor out there at 2 in the morning doing that. I mean, CarMax had, I don't know if anybody's exposed to CarMax. I know Dentless does a lot of business with CarMax. But, one of their operations that I was exposed to about 5 to 6 years ago, they flat out needed a 24-hour PDR guy. It was
That's crazy.
Crazy. We were going there doing 25 cars a night, and then the night guy, he was kind of slow. A day guy, he was doing 12 to 15 cars a day.
It's just constant.
And we were there every day. So that's 30-some-odd cars, a little bit over 30 cars that need to be done every day.
And there's just truckloads coming in just nonstop with those cars, and they're moving cars around from CarMax to CarMax, and
the only way it made it work was you had two people finding the cars in this huge, massive lot.
I'd have to say CarMax kind of like in the behind the scenes. There's a lot that goes on, and then especially with Recon too, there's a lot of moving parts. Mm-hmm. But there's just a lot of inventory going in and out with CarMax.
There's a small little satellite location. What do y'all do a month? And he's like, yeah, we sell 580 cars a month.
Yikes.
There's small one. It's not even like they're big, one that they do the repairs and all that stuff. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. And we're going to go through and see about the chat. Hopefully we've given tons of insight. Ask away, guys, before we head out of here. Benny, it is good seeing you here in the chat if you're still here. Definitely happy to see you here. Anything else we need to go over, Dave?
A lot of the stuff that we have just answered and we've gone over here. But yeah, wholesale. I know we've talked about retail before. We've talked about body shops, and I think those are your three main avenues: wholesale, body shop, and then retail work for a company. And, we like to pride ourselves on retail. We like doing the quality work. We like doing the 100% job every single time. We like selling it to the customer. We like seeing their, the smile on their face and, wow, I can't believe you got that out. And just, we enjoy that whole aspect of it. But wholesale, there are a lot of positives. And I don't know if we talk about it enough, but, picking up a couple of wholesale accounts, good wholesale accounts, can really help a technician or their company really succeed and just grow, just naturally grow. If those accounts are just really working with the vendor and the vendor's working with the accountant, that's a solid relationship. Wholesale can be very, very lucrative for a technician.
For sure. I agree. So, wholesale is king. Low overhead, right? Scalability is pretty decent. And it's very lucrative. It's still lucrative. Now, when you say very lucrative, I wanted to touch on, these numbers. Oh, you think, $200,000 a year, that's great money. But by the time you include taxes, obviously, back and forth and all that stuff, tools, all that great craziness, you're probably making just as much money as a lead metro tech that drives a train. Not that bad. At least around here, they make somewhere around $110,000 a year. So... And we don't have benefits, so that $200,000 got to go with benefits. I don't know. My health coverage is expensive, man. Yeah. So not much different than, like I said, a guy that's been driving the train for 10 years and plays around with overtime. He's making over $100,000.
Yeah.
Easy.
And we're pushing metal.
And we're pushing metal around a lot. We're busting our tails. Dave knows that I'm over here working on my shoulder. You told me when I was working on that car today, his shoulder's gonna be shot tomorrow. And I feel it now. Like I don't want to lift this arm anymore.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
But yeah. But guys, I want to thank you for joining us on tonight's show. Dave, you want to go over the sponsors?
Yeah, we do want to thank our sponsors, as we mentioned in the beginning. Support them. They help support us. Dentcraft Tools, Mobile Tech RX, and Blend PDR Tools. So go check out their websites. Everything's in the description below. Quality tools, quality companies to work with for PDR. I know a lot of guys have come to our chat before. What tools are the best? These two companies alone that are just sponsoring the show that offer tools, great companies to actually just start buying from. So we really appreciate that. And then also you can catch us in podcast form. So if you don't catch us live on Monday nights, today's Tuesday, obviously, because of the holiday. But if you catch us live on Monday nights or you can't, make it, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. So you can listen in audio form, replay it back. If there, like I said before, if there's something that we said, just replay it, write it down, put it in your notebook. Hey, I need to do this, or maybe I need to do that. So,
and if you guys have any suggestions on what we haven't gone over, some of you guys are just so loyal with jumping in here every Monday night. If you guys have any insight, maybe something that we haven't touched, we have probably about 30 different topics to still go over. So it's not like we're running out of topics. We want to give you guys the most value.
I agree.
So if there's something that you feel as though you need to touch on, then there's probably 10 other people that want to know, that want that same kind of
knowledge.
To go over.
They want that same knowledge. So you can either put it in the description or the comments below here on the live show. You can email myself at dave.o@dentlesstouch. And then you can also DM me at dentlesstouch_Manassas_VA. So I can put all that in the description or in the chat for you guys. But that's where you can now find me. And then if you guys have any questions, and like we said, topic suggestions, please send those over. We do want to give you the best value we can, and we love talking about this stuff. We do this every day. We talk every day about PDR nonstop. So strategies and growth, and how do we do better, and what about that car, and repairs and everything else. So we do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys can share this, that'd be great as well. Give us a thumbs up on the way out, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Peace.